Welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Laura, and I just wanted to come up here and do a little story time. Give you a little insight, a little something about me. Um, this is still a little emotional. March 15th of 2020 will be 9 years from the day that I lost my dad. My dad died, passed away, March 15th, 2011. Emotional time. I love my dad. I miss him so much. It's just as if it was just yesterday. And I say, hold your loved ones. Call them. Tell them that you love them. Reach out to them. Because when they're gone, they're gone. And the only thing you have left is their memory that lives on in your hearts. And the words and the experiences that you had that you can pass on to your children and your grandchildren. My dad was so loving, so funny. Well, let's get into how my dad was taken away. My dad had COPD. I made sure he got to all his appointments. I made sure he had all his medications. But see, COPD didn't take him out here. This one particular evening, my dad was, he wasn't, how can I say? It wasn't that he wasn't feeling well. I believe we went to an appointment. Yeah, I believe we went to one of his appointments that day. And I took him to the hospital. And yes, he had an appointment that day. So I took him to the hospital for his appointment. And anyone knows with COPD, he had problems breathing. However, his one lung, he had cancer in the one lung. So the one lung, he had radiation treatment on it. So he couldn't undergo no like lung surgeries or nothing like that. So he took all the medications that he needed. And I would push him around in a wheelchair because walking was a little bit difficult when breathing. Like he'd walk a little bit, but then he'd be out of breath shortly because he got one good lung and then the other lung is not that well. But then he has COPD. So wherever he went, I pushed him in the wheelchair. He had oxygen, so we had oxygen. So he was always good. Always make sure he was on point. We went to his one doctor's appointment, and this one nurse, or doctor, was there, whatever, because he was breathing kind of hard. But like when he went from the wheelchair to try to get up in the bed. He'd do everything on his own. So when he got in the bed, the nurse was like, the doctor was like, well, he's breathing kind of hard. They want to keep him. I said, well, he breathes like that all the time. That's why he has COPD. He take his medication, but when he moved from the wheelchair to the bed, it's using energy, so he would breathe hard. He is like panting, but after 5 or 10 minutes, he'll get it together, and then he'd be breathing normally. If he's sitting still, he's fine. But if he's moving to go to the bathroom, whatever, or he needs to walk to the kitchen, yes, it's strenuous on his, breathing and stuff, but he was fine. But anyway, they decided to put him in the hospital. They wanted to admit him because they wanted to look at some more tests. Okay, so we went there to look at some tests. He got there. He was at Temple, so he was admitted. He was downstairs. I got him admitted. We was waiting on a room. I had to go and make a run to pick someone up from the hospital from work. So I called my sister to come on down. Just sit with him, until I get back. So she came down, and I explained to her, I was like, look, when he moved from one chair to another, he breathes hard. And the doctors and the nurses, they get all frantic because they were thinking like, oh, well, he's breathing too hard, this, then third. I said, don't let them incubate him. I said, when he moved from one position to another, he breathes hard, but he gets it together. And I know because I'm the one that was taking care of him for the last 10 plus years. So I know how his breathing is, and he knows how his breathing is. So, right now I just need you to sit with him so I can go pick somebody up from work because the person I was supposed to be picking up from work, they already been waiting an hour for me. So, because we didn't anticipate them trying to admit him. So, My sister sat there with him. I told her, I said, under no circumstances don't you try to let them incubate them, because the nurses and doctors get frantic and freaked out when they see the way he breathes. But that's what he's been doing for years. You know what I mean? So um, she was like, all right. So when I said, and don't leave until I come back. And I mean, let them put him in the room and just wait for me till I come back. So when I get there to the hospital, after I made the run, I get there like I think like 7:45. You know, visiting hours are over at 8 o'clock. So I get there. I try to make sure I got back beforehand. So he got into a room. So I go up there to the room, like, and I called my sister because she wasn't there. And she was like, oh, I had to leave. I was like, okay. So I go into the room, and my dad, they done incubated my dad. They done put this tube down him. Oh, I was freaked out, because I don't want to be doing all his medical appointments, this, that, and the third. We've been following up with his regular lung doctor and so forth and so on. And I know that if you put that tube down, it's going to be hard for him to get that tube back out, because he only has the one uh so lung already, and the other lung is no good, not that good, because of the cancer and the radiation treatment in the other lung. And the other lung, you know what I mean, it's already so putting a tube down someone who's already has that type of disability going on with their lungs, it's going to be hard for you to pull that tube out and then them trying to get their breath on the one lung. So I get there, had words with the doctors and stuff like that, about the tube and stuff. So they was like, well, we're gonna take it out, and about tomorrow, you know what I mean, this, that, and third. So I stayed, my dad for a little bit more, and he was, writing on the pad, telling me, he wanted this tube out or whatever. So I was like, I understand, they said they're gonna take it out tomorrow. So, just give it 24 hours, see what they're gonna do. So I go back, I leave because it was time to leave, stuff like that, and I go to work. So after work, I come up to the hospital the next day, and then the tube was still in. So when I called for his doctor to find out why they haven't taken the tube out, and he was like, well, we tried to take it out, but he was breathing kind of hard, so we put it back in. Okay, but that's how he breathed on the regular, and he's been coming to his appointments for a long time, and y'all have been seeing this. All of a sudden now, we got these little new doctors and new nurses, and everybody all freaked out because they don't know. And that's the one thing about young folks that graduating school and going into the professional field, like, they have no clue. Like, they get scared over the minus little things. You know what I mean? So anyway, they left the tube in. So now, and every time they try to take it out, they always try to take it out when I'm not there. I always say, wait till I get there to try to take it out. So I'm with him, and he's comfortable, you know what I mean? Because I'm his support. You know what I mean? So y'all do this when I'm not there, and then y'all come up with y'all little scenarios. Ain't no telling what happened, what went down, and then you still got in them. You know what I mean? So then it was like, my dad, one time, he tried to pull the tube out. So when I came to visit him another time, they done had strapped him to the bed. And I'm like, okay, now I got the doctor. Like, okay, why is his hand strapped to the bed? So they told us, well, he tried to pull the tube out. Okay, because he don't want it in there, because he don't need it. He already know. You know what I mean? He don't need it. He can do without it. I said, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, you got him strapped to the bed. He's not a mental patient, and it's against his rights for you to strap his hands to a bed in a hospital. You know what I mean? So this other nurse came in. Mind you, I'm coming from work, so I had on these scrubs because I work in food service. So I had like these scrubs on that you wear in food service. So the one doctor was in there, and she was like, she didn't ask who I was. She was looking at his chart, and then she was doing something else on the side of the bed. But anyway, she was like, take these straps off him. She was like, because we can be sued. She was like, you're not supposed to have him strapped. And I was like, oh, really? You know what I mean? She was like, oh, I thought you was the nurse. No, I'm not. I'm his daughter. Yes, and I was saying the same thing. Take the straps off him. You know what I mean? So so be it. So now they got somebody in there, and they took the straps off of him. So then I had told the nurse, I was like, is y'all gonna clean up the room? I was like, because the room was a little dirty to me. You know what I mean? For this to be a hospital, like over there, it just wasn't clean enough for me. You know what I mean? So with that being said, a couple of days went past, 1 or 2 days, I believe so. Then I came to visit my dad. I was coming every day after work. I go up there and visit him. So this one particular day I go, and I noticed he had a little sore. on his lip. So I called the nurse. I was like, what is this on his lip? I was like, he got a bad sore on his lip. And she was like, oh, well, it's from the tube that he had in his mouth, that he has in his mouth. Okay, so you need to clean. She's like, well, we're keeping it clean. Okay. Okay, well, y'all need to make sure you're keeping it clean or move the tube over to the other side of the lip because he got his mouth open like that. And then he got this big old sore on the side that was open. So they came and then they had some type of liquid or something they was putting on there to clean it and stuff like that. So now, next day when I come visit him, the sore looked bigger. Okay, now I'm like, okay, I need to talk to somebody now. Okay, so they come in here and they was like, well, they're doing everything then to clean it up and all stuff. They keeping it clean, keeping it dry and all stuff. So then later on that day, we found out he got MRSA. I said, what? A blood infection. Okay, that comes from y'all with this dirty tube and in this dirty room. Okay, so now they trying to clean his blood with the MRSA. So with that being said, they came and they gave him this pill. So I was standing, like I said, I got the scrubs on. So to them, they looking at me as I'm just another probably nurse or intern or something like that because I got scrubs on and I'm in there. Like this because I did catering, so I had this type of shirt on that made me like blend in. So I was standing there and the doctor was telling another doctor, he was like, well, we've given this pill and it seems to be working. I don't know the name of the pill, but the pill cleaned the blood. But anyway, the pill was $4,000 per pill. So I believe they did it twice, maybe 3 times, but they was talking about the price of the pill was $4,000. So they were saying that they can't keep giving him that pill. Okay, y'all the one caused him to get MRSA. Okay, so you keep giving him the pill until y'all can get it cleared. So then they come to me and they was like, well, after the 20, I think 24 hours, they gave to a pill. I think maybe 2 days, something like that. So at that they turned around and asked me, they wanted to put him on dialysis. Okay, I don't know too much about dialysis, but they was like, well, dialysis, they could bring the machine in, they clean his blood, and that will help, clean out the MRSA. So I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? But it's not until after the fact that I find out about, that doing that, okay, when they went to go clean his blood, they put the machine on him to clean his blood. They take the blood out. You're supposed to take bad blood out, and then you repump the blood back in. However, when you took the blood out, okay, sent my dad into a heart attack. Okay, my dad has never had nothing wrong with his heart, never had a heart attack, no heart problems whatsoever. Okay, so they sent him into heart condition, well, heart attack. So when I was in the hospital, they was cleaning the blood. And at the time, it was like visiting hours. It was like close to 8 o'clock. It was like 8 o'clock then. So they was like, visitors had to leave. They was like, he'll be fine, this, that, and third. So I was like, okay. So they was cleaning the blood and stuff like that. And me and my uncle had left, his brother. You know what I mean? And I remember walking down the hall, down Temple. And I just told my uncle, I was like, me and my dad come in this way all the time when we go to see his lung doctor. You know what I mean? So over the loudspeaker, I heard Cold Blue ICU. Okay, mind you, my dad's in ICU. So I got this eerie feeling in my soul that something went wrong. Okay, so now my cell phone rings. And they was like, Miss Ellis, are you still in the hospital? And I was like, yeah. It was like, well, we need you to come back to the floor where your dad is. So I get up there to the floor. And they working on my dad. Okay, they talking to me, he crashed. He crashed because y'all gave him that dialysis machine where you clean the blood. Okay, and when you took the blood out, you caused his heart okay, to go into an attack, whatever the case may be. But when I get up there, you have the doctor standing on top of him, beating the shit out of his chest, okay? Telling someone, he's flat. I say, I didn't see no flat line. I'm looking at the machine behind the doctor, and lines are going up strongly, strongly, as if, you beating on somebody's chest and the lines are strong. Like, where is the flat line? You beating on him. Where is the flat line? They was like, calm down. Ain't no calm down. Like, what the fuck is y'all doing? Like, I'm trying to figure out what the hell is y'all doing. My dad's sitting there saying he's dying. Oh my God, it was just like crazy. Like, I was just like freaked. But I lost my dad that night. And it's been 9 years, but it seemed like just yesterday. And every time when I go to a site, I haven't been in a couple of years because I cry just like it was yesterday. I'm daddy's little girl. And I miss my dad so much. And I say, pay attention to what these doctors do. They think that they have everything under control and they know everything. And they do. They went to school, they got all these fancy degrees, but sometimes they make mistakes too. And yes, I thought about having, him looked into and stuff like that. No, I didn't even have him, what they say, do an autopsy. I didn't have him do an autopsy, none of that, because just watching everything that transpired, I didn't want them to cut my dad open. I didn't want him to go through that. And then he was in the military, so he's buried on military ground, and I didn't want them to disturb his body and pull him up. You know what I mean? So, but I just say that to say, love your parents. You only get one. And you only get one father. We have stepfathers. We have people that step into place of our dads. But you only get one true dad. And when you get him, you hold on to him. I love my dad. I wouldn't change nothing about my life. My dad was my rock. He was there for me. He was there for my sisters. My dad was a good man. He might not have been good to others, but he was always good to me. And I miss my dad. And it's coming up 9 years. And it's just like yesterday. I miss our walks, our talks. I took care of my dad when he first got sick. About 10, 12 years ago. And I was right there for him. I was his 24-hour nurse aide. I had to be to work 6:30 in the morning, but I would be to him 4 o'clock in the morning, made sure he had his breakfast, his baths, his hair was cut, all that. He lived right down the street from where I worked, and on my lunch break, I went to his house. When I got off work, I went to his house. Before I went home, I went to his house. Like, I did all that. And then, not even with that, it was like a time when, it was another time when he was at Temple, and he was, they put him into a nursing home. I was at work then, and then they was like, well, when I went to go visit him, I was like, he's not in his room. Like, cause somebody told me, they was like, well, let me get the doctor to find out, give you some information. Okay, so he's not here, and I'm his caregiver, so didn't nobody tell me y'all shipping him out? Like, where you go? And they was like, well, we sent him down to rehabilitation, and we got him checked into one of the nursing homes. Okay, so why wouldn't you call me and check with me so I could check out these nursing homes that you want to send him to? So, that being said, and this is a total different time from when he went to the hospital. He went for one of his appointments, and he was, I can't remember what went on that appointment. But it was his COPD, but I think he was complaining about something, and they wound up keeping him and stuff. So he was there for a couple of days, and then after that, they sent him down to the rehabilitation. Because, when older folks are off their feet for a couple hours or a few days or whatever, they worry about them falling when they get back up on their feet to start walking. So since he was off his feet for a while, they sent him over there to a nursing facility for rehabilitation so he can start walking all over again. So that's how that went there. So he went over there. So the one they put him in was Gerard. I go down there at the work to go see what's going on. They tell me visiting hours over. What? Child visiting hours stop at 8 o'clock. Was it 8 o'clock? Yeah, I think it's 8 o'clock in the evening. I said visiting hours honey, this is a rehabilitation. This is not a prison. He shouldn't have visiting hours. Visiting hours over there, I believe they said didn't start to, is it 10? Maybe 12, somewhere around there. It didn't start to mid morning, but it was over by 8 o'clock or something like that. And I wasn't feeling it, okay, because now I couldn't even get in to see my dad because of the hours that I work, okay. So this one particular day, I left work early because I need to get down there and see him. So I went down there and my dad was crying when I was in the nursing home. So he was like, I ain't never seen my dad cry before. So he was, he told me he was in pain and that his stomach was hurting real bad and stuff like that. So um, I called the people that they had there. Was it the CNA or nurse, whoever is there? I was like, did y'all take X-rays of my dad? Because he's calling about pain and he don't never be in pain. I was really upset. You know what I mean? So they was like, well, we had X-rays taken of him before he got in here. Once Temple brought him down, so we sent him down for X-rays. We waiting for them to come back and be read by the doctor. Okay. So what I did was gave my dad my cell phone. I gave him a cell phone so he can call me because there was no way he can get on the phone in there. They had no phones in there. I'm telling you, this place was just like prison. So there was no phone in there where he can call me and stuff like that. So I told him, put my number in program. Like, look, just call me. You know what I mean? I was like, there's nothing I can do right now until they find out what's going on. I said, but I'm getting you out of here. You know what I mean? I'm his last lifeline, and I'm getting him out of here. So I went to work the next day. And he called me. He was crying. He was in so much pain. He was like, I need you to come down and get me, take me up out of here. Right. So I said, as soon as I get off work, I'm coming down. So I got down there when I got off work. And when I got there, he wasn't there. I went there to go talk, found the person, the people that I need to speak to, and he was like, they sent him out. I was like, because if they didn't take him out, I was taking him out of there for sure, because my dad was calling me, crying me, he's in pain, something's going on. I was taking him out as a ride. I sure enough was. But when I got down there, they had already shipped him back to Temple Hospital for emergency, because they was like, when they got the X-rays, it showed that he had a bowel eruption, I think it was, or something was going on, and that's where all his pain was from. So Temple sent him down there knowing that this was already going on. So this happened I think maybe a year before he even passed or whatever. So it was just like one thing after another with Temple. So then we go back to the hospital. So I left, got in my car, I went up to the hospital. I found him this and the third, and I spoke with the doctor and I told him, you're not shipping him out nowhere else until I find the nursing home I want him to go to. You're not just going to take it upon yourself to ship him to any nursing home. Okay, so I searched around for different nursing homes and things like that, which the nursing homes is / rehabilitation centers that they want to get them in. So we got them into I found one at Cheltenham, at the top of Cheltenham, not too far from where I used to live. So I got them up there. It's called Cheltenham Rehabilitation. So I got him up there. I went to go talk to the people. I had his records with me and everything like that. So the one thing I liked about them was that they had 24 hours. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay. I can come see him around the clock anytime I get ready. All I had to do was check in at the office. Okay. And sign the paper and stuff like that. And then I can go up to his room. It wasn't it was a certain time for visiting hours. And that's what I'm saying in reference to your loved ones and going into rehabilitation homes and things like that. It should be 24 hours. There's no limit on to when I can go see you. I work. You know what I mean? So your hours that you're open and available, I may be working and can't get there. So you stopping their loved ones from going to being seen by their family members. So, rehabilitation at Cheltenham was okay. So I got him up there and he was transferred down there maybe a day or 2 days later, going to see down there. So my son and myself, before he was on his way to school, he went past that way every day before he went to school. He had to go past that way before he went to work. So I made sure double check, always go past before you go to work. When you come home from work, before you go to school, when you come home from school. He did that. When I did the same thing before I went to work, when I come home from work, before I went anywhere, I stopped past it. So he had visitors all day, every day. You know what I mean? So. And that worked for them. This one particular time I go up there to Cheltenham to see him, and he was breathing real hard and erratic. And I was like, something ain't right. You know what I mean? So he was like, they got this machine. I don't think. Then I checked the machine. I go get the lady. I was like, look. She's like, well, we got him on the machine. I'm like, this machine don't even freaking work. Like, I was cussing. Like, literally, y'all had him on this machine for 24 hours, and this mother MF do not work. Okay, so she's like, they went and they called themselves trying to fix it, this and that. She's like, it don't work. This and that. They had to go out and get another one. Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta watch these nursing homes too, because they do crap that doesn't make no sense. Like, I was in there, as much as I was visiting my dad, this one lady was sitting in a wheelchair, and she was crying, she was hollering, she was in pain, this, that, and third. The lady fell out the chair and hit her head. The only thing they did was get up and put her back in the chair. I'm like, people, the moral of the story is, if you have loved ones in rehabilitation and nursing homes, go visit your loved ones. Because best believe, if you're not there watching them and paying attention, ain't nobody else watching them and paying attention either. Okay? They just there. Just because. But anyway, they wanted to get my dad a new machine that worked. Okay? So then another thing you need to know about nursing homes, that if your loved one is there more than 6 months, okay, they become ward of the state. The nursing home get to take over their check, get to take over all their finances and everything. So you want to make sure you get your loved ones out before then, if need be. Because definitely, when I had my dad there, my dad was there just to get his walking ability together because of him laying up in the hospital for about a week. They wanted to make sure that, he wasn't stable. He was stable walking and wasn't falling. So with that being said, when it was time for him to get up out of there, the lady told me, well, we keep him because he got COPD real bad. I was like, you ain't keeping nobody. For real, you're not keeping nobody. I was like, my dad getting up out of here. He didn't come in here for his COPD. He came in here to get his strength back on walking. Simple as that. Okay. His COPD, he had that for years. He dealt with that for years. He ain't coming here for his COPD. They thought they was gonna keep him for his COPD. They was like, well, and before we can let him go, because now we was 5 months in, and they look for that 30-day, the extra 30 days, so they can keep him. So she was like, well, we're gonna have to double check and make sure he has a place to stay and all stuff. No. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain. My dad was in that nursing home, and for the 5.5 months that he was there, I paid his rent every month, his utilities every month, his phone bill every month. I took care of all his necessity bills. So when he got ready to get out of there, he can go back to his home where he lived, okay, where he wanted to be. And that's what it's all about, where he wants to go. You know what I mean? So definitely, I got him back there, and I made sure I done that. But otherwise than that, I just say, love your family. Reach out to them, talk to them. Stay in touch with your loved ones. I mean, our older people and our family members, they're all we have. You know what I mean? That's where our history come from. And if you don't know where your history come from, and as our older people die off, that's where the history dies with them. Talk to your loved ones. Like these young folks today, young folks, you have to get it together. Talk to your elderly, because that's your history. You know what I mean? You don't know where you're going until you know where you came from. And the moral of that story is, love your family members. We all we got. Blood. We all we got. Some people out there, you'll take on a stranger and call them your sister, your bud. You ride and die for them. But you'll see your family member walking down the street and you won't do nothing for them. We got to change that, because you all we got. We all we got. You know what I mean? So your family, love them. Tell them you love them. Stay with them. And just God bless. And just know, I'm happy. My dad is in a safe place. He's in heaven. He's looking down on me. And I have another story that I have to tell, but not during this story time. I'll pick another story time that I will sit down and I'll talk about. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned.